Hello everybody and welcome back to another Blender Made Easy tutorial. Today we're going to be creating this cool animation that you see on the screen right now. We're going to be using particle systems, text, curves, and all this fancy stuff to create this effect. Alright, so first delete the cube and then press Shift A. We're going to add in some text. Rotate this text 90 degrees by pressing R, then X, 90, and enter. Now you can do whatever kind of text that you want. I'm just going to leave it as the word text for now, and I think that's perfectly fine. Now what we need to do is convert this to a curve. So press Alt-C and go curve from mesh, that one right there. Then go into edit mode and we can see that this is now a curve. We can edit it, move it around, do whatever we want to it, and that is cool. So now what we need to do is convert all of these into separate objects. To do that, we're going to go into edit mode, box select one of them, so just do this one for now, press P and go separate. So now this is its own separate object. Then right click on this one, go into edit mode, box select it right here, go P, separate right there. Then this one, go into edit mode, box select it right there. Make sure that one is selected as well, press P, separate that one, and lastly this one's good. Okay, so now let's press N and we'll just name these to T. Right click on this one, X, this one right here, we'll go E, and then this one will go a just big T. Okay, then close that off so we know which one is which. What we're going to do now is add in an icosphere to follow, actually not an icosphere, a UV sphere to follow this path. To do that, press Shift A, go to Mesh, and then UV sphere. Scale this UV sphere down so it's right about there, maybe a little bit more, and then scale it a little bit right there. Okay, so make sure the origin point is in the center because all of these origin points are at the center, and it's really important that you have that because once we add the curve modifier, it's going to calculate like the origin points, and just everything will work better if the origin point is in the exact same spot. Okay, so everything's good right there. Right click on this, go to the add modifier section, click add modifier and go curve. We'll bring this out a little bit. Now click on this and we'll go big T. So we can see that it's already attached itself to the curve, and if we move this along the x-axis, we can see it going around. So I'm going to place it right here, right on the corner, and hit I. Actually, first we'll change this to frame 10, then hit I, location. We're going to be adding keyframes to the location of this so it goes around. Then go to frame, let's say 120 is probably a good number. Then just press GX, go all the way around till it gets back to the corner, then press I, location. So if we play this real quick, we can see it goes up, all the way around, and down. So now what we're going to be doing is adding a particle system, and then it will follow the path, and we'll do some settings in just a little bit. We need to press Shift D on this, and then right click so it snaps it back to the center. Then go over here and change this to the E. So now it's on this spot right here. Go to frame 10 and then press GX, move it along till it's on the corner right here. Maybe also scale it down because that might be a little big. So scale it down, scale this one down too. So right about there is probably good. Right about, yeah, that's probably fine. Then we're gonna hit I, location, so it adds a new keyframe over the top of this one. Then just kind of scroll along, and we can see that it's too early from right here. So I'm gonna go over to this spot and hit Alt-I, delete the keyframe, then go back to frame 120, and then press GX, move it along all the way till it's right here. Then hit I, location. So it adds a new keyframe right there, and so it goes all the way around. If we play this, we can see it just like that. Perfect. Then press Shift D, right click, we'll change this one to the X, and we have to do the exact same thing one more time. So go to frame 10, make sure it's on the corner, it's already on the corner, maybe a little bit more, so right about there, I, location. Then just kind of scroll through, we can see that it goes all the way. Okay, so right here we need to go more along the x-axis. So press GX, move it along, make sure you're on frame 120, and then hit I, location, so it overwrites the current keyframe. One last time, Shift D, right click, change this to the T, go to frame 10, whichever frame 10 right there, move it along till it's on the corner, then overwrite the keyframe by hitting I, location. Then we'll just go this way and we can see that it's actually, it's almost there. So go to frame 120, move it along the X just a little bit more, hit I, location. All right, let's play this to see how it looks. Alt A, and all of them go up and create the outline. Perfect. Now let's do the particle system. So go to a new layer, press Shift A, we'll add in a icosphere, change the subdivisions down to 1. That's really important that you change it to 1 because it's not, we don't want a lot of geometry with our particles because they're going to be really small. So make sure it's set to 1. Go back to layer 1 and right click on one of these, go over to the particle settings and click new. All right, so make sure the end frame is on 120, so it will stop emitting at 120. Then we'll scroll down here, we'll change the object of the particles to the icosphere. So click on the icosphere and we can see them right there. This is really, really big. So go back, scale this one down so it's pretty small, then go back to layer 1 and right click on it. And those look actually pretty good. We'll mess around with the size in a little bit. We'll also change the random size up. And we'll just press Alt A and we can see that they are a little, actually they're good right now. So we'll leave the size as that. Now what we want to do is just scroll up to the velocity, change the normal value to 0. So now it will just go straight down and it's not emitting anywhere. Okay, that's what we want. Now go down to the field weights. This is where we can change the gravity and do all this stuff right here. So change the gravity all the way off so it will be in the exact same spot once it's emitted. So we can see that it's creating the outline and it's leaving the particles just like that. But they're disappearing. And the reason for that is because the lifetime is set to 50 frames. I'm going to change this to 300. All right, we'll play this one more time and we can see how it looks. Goes up all the way around and down. Good. That looks awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to do the material. So right click on this. The material is really easy, just an emission shader right here with a kind of like a yellowish color and a strength of 5. Go back to layer 1 and we can see how this looks if we press Shift Z. Nice. All right, so what I want to do is just a couple more settings. I want to scroll down to the display, change the display to like 10%. This is just the display in the 3D viewport. All right, so it will only display this 10% of the total particles. So I'm gonna scroll up, change this value to 20,000. Okay, so it's really, really high. And we'll bake this in one more time so we can see how it looks. Goes all the way around. Just like that. We also want to change the start frame to 10 instead of 1 because we want it to start emitting once it's moving. So we'll do that one more time, bake it in. There we go, and there's not a big clump right there. Good. Look at that. That looks really cool. So right here, we'll press Shift Z and we can see how it looks. Nice. All right, so now what we want to do is just copy that for all of these. So right click on this one, we'll go new. I don't know why we can't just add the same particle system to this. It's really annoying because you always have to create a new particle system. So it's quite annoying. So just change it to the first one right here. Then do the same thing over here. So right click on this one, click on new, and then go back to the first one. And then lastly over here, we can go new, and boom. Yeah, because you can see there's 4 different particles and I don't need these to be here. I just want this first one. Blender problems, man. Okay, so let's rebake this in and we can see how it looks with all of them. Look at that. Nice. That looks really cool. Okay, so now it's done. I'm going to press Shift Z to see how it looks. Nice, you can see the outline. And this one right here, we don't need this many particles since it's a little bit smaller than some of the other ones. So I'm going to click this little 4 button so it creates a new particle system. And I'm going to change the count to, let's go 12,000. And this one I want to bring up because you can see there's quite a lot of space between them. So right click on you. right, you. Click on the little plus button right there, and I'm going to change this one to 30,000 instead of 20. All right, everything else is fine. Okay, so now let's do the plane. So press Shift A, we'll add in a plane. We'll scale it up just a lot, something like that. Now what I want to do is go into edit mode, right click on these two vertices and extrude them up, then press Ctrl 5, and this will add a subdivision surface so it curves it out. Then press Ctrl R. I'm going to add in a loop cut right here and just kind of crunch that corner in so it's a little bit more like that. Then go smooth shading. We also want to make sure the render is up to 6. We can just turn both of them up to 6 actually. Now the material for this one, this is going to be a mix shader, so go new, we'll call this one plane, and we'll change this to mix, we'll go diffuse and glossy. All right here, we'll change the factor down to 0.1, and then the color, I want this to be a black color. So not all the way black though, make sure it's like really close. We'll check the preview, that looks good. We'll change this value to a darker color as well. And the roughness, what happens if we go all the way down? Yeah, let's go with 0.1 actually. That looks pretty good. Now let's set up the camera. So place your viewport right here, press Ctrl Alt 0, that will snap the camera into place. Right click on it, press G, middle mouse button, and drag it back. Then place it right here. So somewhere just in front I think is good. All right, so now we'll bake in the particle system. So we'll press Alt A, it'll bake everything in. All right, there we go. And oh, I just remembered that we need to change the, here, hold on, right click on you. Can I right click on that thing? Come on, there we go. Come over to the particle settings and we need to change this to be, the emitter to be off because I don't want to see that little object. We have to do this for all of them. I think this one, yeah, that one doesn't, we don't have to worry about. This one we have to change. So right click on it, turn off emitter. Same thing for this one, right click on you and turn off emitter. And now we're ready to do a render. So press Shift Z just to see how everything looks. We'll scroll up. Actually, we need to do one last thing. Over here, I'm gonna turn off these buttons right here so the text is not gonna show up in the render. So press Z once or twice to get rid of that. Turn off U. Scroll up to where the E is, turn off that one, and the big T, turn off that one as well. And you know, we can just turn it off in the viewport too because we don't need it anymore. So turn off, turn off. Okay, so everything else is good. The world settings, I'll bring up the world just a little bit. Somewhere around here is probably good. Then go over to your render settings and just do a quick render on frame 117. Okay, the render is finished and that looks pretty good right now, but there's a couple more things I want to do just to add a little bit more coolness to the image and the animation. So I'm gonna go over to here and click on compositing, and then I'm gonna click use nodes and backdrop. This will add in a couple nodes and also just close these off. So go into the corner, click and drag, that will create an arrow, and just drag it down just like that. Then press N to close that off. Then press Control Shift left click and that will add in a viewer node. And this will pop up just like that. Okay, so now what I want to do is add in a glare. So go to filter and then glare. We'll plug this in right here and that will make everything just crazy like that. I want to change this to fog glow, and the threshold, this is how much glow there is. So the lower you go, the higher, the more glow will appear. So if I go like 0.6, you can see there's quite a lot. If I go, let's say like 3, there's not going to be, yeah, there's just barely any. So let's go with a value of 1.2. 1.2, how does that look? Yeah, that looks good to me. The size we can mess around with. We might want to go a little bit lower, maybe a little higher. Something like that. Let's go, just leave it at 8. I think that's perfectly fine. And I think that's all I really want to do in the compositing. Yeah, actually, you know what, let's do a vignette. So go to color, mix, plug that in here, plug it into the composite. Make sure all of these are plugging into the composite node because it's not going to work once you do an animation if you don't do that. So go to filter, blur, then we'll go Shift A, we'll go to distort and lens distortion. Then connect these up with the image and the image, change the distort to 1, change this to fast, go relative, right here, click Y, 20% on both of these, right here. Then take this output, plug it into the bottom, and change it to multiply. Let's see how this looks. Nice, it's a little strong though, so let's go with 0.7. How does that look? 0.7 looks pretty good to me. Alright, let's go back to the default, and there's our before, and there's our after once we've added all the effects. Very cool. Go to the 3D view, and there's a couple more things I want to do. First off, I want to, once all of the text has formed, after a couple, let's say like 20 frames, I want them to fall. So let's change the end frame to 180, 170 actually, 170. And from let's go 135, that gives us 15 frames to view the text. We'll go over to the particle settings, we'll come down here to the field weights, and hit I while you're hovering over the gravity. So hit I, that will add a keyframe to this particle system. Go to frame 136, we'll change the gravity all the way up, then hit I one more time, hovering over this, that will add another keyframe. So within one frame, the gravity will turn all the way up and the particles will drop down. We need to do this for both of them. So press Z, zoom in a little bit, right click on this one, and go to frame 135, hit I while you're hovering over it, 136 right there, turn it all the way up, then hit I again. And lastly, this one, since these are both sharing the same particle setting, we only need to do it once. So 135, hit I, then go over once, go all the way up, and hit I again. Perfect. And since this has gravity, we need to change the plane to have a collision object. So click on collision, and if we were to play this, we can see that the particles will drop down and kind of bounce around. I want to change this factor dampening to 0.7. This will allow the particles not to bounce super high, but just kind of slowly come to a stop. Same thing right here. I'm going to change this one to a 0.3 probably. That's probably a good one. These will just help with the bounciness and slidingness of the plane, okay? Alright, before we render, I want to do a couple more settings in the render settings. So come over here to the sampling. I'm going to change this value to, let's say, 50 probably is a good number. We'll change the clamp indirect to a value of 1. This will just help with the fireflies and just making everything a little bit more clear. The light paths, I'm going to turn off both of these, and the filter glossy I'll turn up to just 1. This will also help with noise and just making everything look good. The bounces, this could help with your render time. If you guys watched the Blender Guru render time video, just saving on render time, this will help. So maybe let's change this value to 5 and the minimum value to 1. Alright, so let's go to the UV image editor and go to slot 2 and render it one more time and just see the differences between them. So hit render and we'll see how it looks. The render is finished, and that took 2 minutes compared to the other one, which took 5 minutes. Alright, that's a lot of improvement, especially when you're doing an animation. So one last thing I want to do is, if we actually go back to this, we can see that the particles are kind of in the floor. So I want to just pull down this plane just a tiny bit so the particles are not clipping through the floor. So right here, okay? And that is all we have to do. So just save it. I'm just gonna hit Control S. We'll save it to the desktop. I'll go tutorial. Make sure you set an output over here. So create a folder wherever you want, then click on this little button, navigate to where it is. I created one this right here. So click accept. So now once we hit animation, every single one of the images will go into the folder. If you watched the video that I did a tutorial on a couple weeks ago where we created an animation, this is a really important thing to do. Don't change this to MPEG, change it to PNG or JPEG or whatever you want, then click on animation, and then once it's done, we'll grab all of those images that went into the folder and sequence them out after it's rendered, okay? We'll scroll up and hit animation, and that will grab frame 1 and go all the way up to 170, and we'll be able to see it. Okay, the render is done, and now we're going to sequence it out in the video sequence editor. So come down to this menu and click the video sequence editor. Make sure you're on frame 1 or it's not going to work. If you go right here or something, if you go like right here and you add it, it's gonna like be cut off over on this side. So make sure you're on frame 1 and then come over to add and then image, navigate to where your images are. I have a folder right here. Press A to select everything and go add image strip, and we can see all of our images line up perfectly right there. So now we can come over here and change this to a movie file. You can do whichever one you want, AVI, RAW, JPEG, whatever. I'm gonna go MPEG, go to the encoding, change it to an MPEG 4, and then I'm gonna go the codecs of an H.264. Alright, that is the file that I want. And then I'm just gonna hit animation and it will grab all of the images and sequence it out, and we'll be able to view it in a second. Look at that, that looks pretty cool, and we can see it has some glow and everything, and it's outlining. Nice, just like that. Once it's done, all of them fall down and we can see it right there. Okay, so this will be in the folder that you specified right here, but I'm just gonna come over to render and go play rendered animation, and we will be able to see what it looks like. Look at that. We'll watch it one more time. Very cool. Alright, well that concludes this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and if you made something cool, I would love to see it. Post it in the comments below or on Twitter, whatever, and make sure to follow me on Instagram, where I post a lot of the renders that I do just playing around with other random stuff. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.